words I've waited a long time to say. Frank Turner, welcome to Wickham.
Thank you for having me. Words I've been waiting a long time to say. It's very nice to be at Wickham Festival.
It's a hometown gig for you?
Basically, yeah. I mean, we are, I think, about 8 miles away from the village I grew up in. So, and in rural terms, that seems close as damn it. I did once play Wickham Fest, which was a little closer, but that aside, this is the closest I've played to where I grew up.
So is that going to be a special night for you?
Yeah, definitely. You know, it's nice to be in a place I know, and my mum's coming down later. Yeah, it's going to be good.
So tell me about the Wickham Festival and what it means to you as well.
Well, I mean, it's my first time here, for my sins, forgive me that. But it's, I mean, I've been wandering around since I got here this morning, and it just seems like a lovely spot, and the lineup this year is great. I was at a wedding last night, but my guys were in, and everyone saw Level 42 and said they're amazing. You got Grace Petrie today, you got Holy Moly and the Crackers. Yeah, it's great, and as I say, it's nice to be in the Meon Valley.
As you say, not a million miles from where you grew up, but probably a million miles away from now your childhood in terms of where you are with your career.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, I think that I try and retain a sense of wonder about my fortunes in life, if you know what I mean. Like, if you told me when I was a kid that I would be headlining a festival anywhere in the world, I would have been very pleased, shall we say. And yeah, it feels really good to have succeeded.
So I know you keep a count of your gigs. What number is this tonight?
I think I'm right in saying it's 2,372, although I'm going to reserve the right to correct that slightly. It's written on the set list every day. There are some people who think this information I carry around in my head all day, every day, and it's not quite that. I cheat.
But it is important to you to acknowledge that journey.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I started counting the shows right at the beginning, sort of for my own benefit, really. I didn't. You always used to mention it on stage or anything like that. And I remember when we got to show 1,000, I threw a party for the show, and everybody else, no one really got what was going on. They were like, 1,000 what? And I said 1,000 shows, and everyone said, really? By the time we got to show 2,000, it had become a thing. Do you know what I mean? And a lot of people, I know there are people who have show numbers tattooed on them and all this kind of thing. So it's a nice way of kind of acknowledging work done. I have now done more shows than Metallica and Grateful Dead and people like this. I'm sure they play to more people, but it's a nice thing to be able to say.
Any chance of a party for show 2,372?
There is going to be a party for show. We're here. This presumably is the whole festival. No, yeah. I mean, it's funny. Within about a week of us doing it, because we had a big old show for 2,000. Within about a week of that, I had people asking me where show 3,000 was going to be, and it was just a bit like, cut me a break. Give me a minute.
Yeah. But you are one of the hardest working artists around.
Well, I mean, I don't know really. People say that about me a lot. And to the extent it's meant as a compliment, I'll take it. But you know, I think quality matters as much as quantity. And there are plenty of people who work in offices and factories who don't get awards for doing their job 5 days a week. So I don't want to make too much of it.
But in terms of the hard work, you're not just a singer, a writer as well.
Yeah.
How's the latest book gone?
It's gone very well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I had 2 books out now, which I think makes me an author, I suppose. And they've both been bestsellers, which is very nice. I'm beginning to toy with the idea of what I might write a third one about, were I to do that. I guess the thing for me is that I've written 2 books so far, which have both been about me, and therefore require very little in the way of research. Do you know what I mean? I just sort of thought, oh yeah, and then wrote it down. I quite like the idea of writing a book that's about something else, you know, and that would be more of a proper book from my point of view.
So Try This at Home is a little bit different.
Yeah, it's a book about songwriting. I mean, the first book I wrote was about touring, which made sense. And people were wondering if I was going to write a sequel to that. And I just sort of felt like I'd said most of what I had to say about touring already. You know, there was an inbuilt narrative arc that went from playing to no one in a pub to playing Wembley Arena. I'm not sure that I need to write another book about continuing to exist at a certain level. But yeah, I then realised that I'd written a whole book about myself as a musician without ever really talking about music. So I thought I would correct that with book number 2.
A little bit of a different take on the slant of songwriting.
Yeah. I mean, well, I think about songwriting to the exclusion of pretty much everything all the time, and it struck me that it would be interesting to try and get some of those thoughts down. I mean, I haven't talked about songwriting in public that much in the past, not because I'm trying to keep a secret or anything, but just because I sort of lack the vocabulary, really. I hadn't thought about it in verbal terms previously, but it was an interesting process writing for me, because I had to figure out what it is I think about songwriting and try and get that down.
And you've got a new album coming out August the 16th, I believe.
Yes.
No Man's Land.
Yes, less than 2 weeks now, which is exciting and scary in equal measure.
And tell me about it, because it's about women.
Yeah, it's a storytelling record. It's a history record, which is the original. That was the original impulse. I've written most of the songs I've written have been about me. I write in quite a confessional, autobiographical style, and I was thinking about branching out from that and trying to write about different topics, and had this idea of writing. Had this idea of writing history songs, and so I started writing history songs, and then after I had about 5 down, I realised that they were all about female historical figures. So I decided to kind of follow that theme through to the end. And yeah, it's really fun. History is my other obsession in life outside of music, and it seemed like it would be interesting to see if I could combine those two things, and particularly with the podcast we're doing, I feel like we've done that successfely.
You enjoy the research as well, I believe. So
yeah.
In terms of maybe a third book, it could be
Well, definitely. I'm certainly kind of it made me feel like I was back at uni. Do you know what I mean? Sort of like going through, making notes on books and all this kind of thing. But I hope that I've done justice to my subject.
And will you be touring the album? I know you're down at Southampton at the Guildhall in November.
Yes, we're doing a tour that's kind of. I'm going to do 2 sets a night on that tour because I'm a maniac. And the idea is that the first set will be all stuff from the new record, and then I'll take a break, and then we'll do a full band show afterwards.
So is it a solo first set?
Yeah, it is. I played with a different band on this record. I played with an all-female band, so which and that's there's no denigration implied to my regular guys, the Sleeping Souls, and whatever I do next will be with them, and they're playing here tonight and all the rest of it. But just given the nature of the project, that seemed like an interesting angle to go down. But the problem with that is that I'm not 100% sure that I'll be able to gather that crew in one room very often, because everyone has their regular gigs.
And what else have you got in the pipeline?
I mean, me being me, I'm kind of busy. I've got various side project things bubbling away, and I'm kind of writing songs for another record already. I'm getting married in 4 weeks' time as well.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I have to say that we're doing a tour, an album, a podcast, and planning a wedding at the same time is slightly suicidal. But it's good. We're nearly there, and once the wedding rolls around, I'm then going to throw my phone into the sea and go on honeymoon.